Welcome, everybody, to the Hustle and Heart presents Get It Out. I'm your host, William Hustle, and my co-host, Big Pat. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Glad to be here.
So let's talk about, man, dealing with our suffering. And the reason we decided to talk about this tonight is because Big Pat read me a quote. And I said, man, I think that's the sign telling us I think we need to talk about it because I dealt with it. I went through it. So why don't you share a little something with me again, bro?
Yeah, just was going over some quotes earlier, and this one by Friedrich Nietzsche came up. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering. So, I didn't go through 20 years of drug addiction to just say, okay, life's over now.
Yes, sir.
I went through that, so now I can appreciate life, and you take a step out of that darkness, and you're like, man, there's a whole other side to this, and there's other people that are right where you were, and you find that meaning, and that you want to be that light because there's a lot of darkness out there. There's a lot of people suffering. There's a lot of people hurting. In your life, I think you could even echo that sentiment, and you didn't spend 14 years incarcerated so that you could just say, okay, life's over now, I'm done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But what I'm getting, I got a lot from what you just said, but what really caught me was when you said appreciate life. When I was in the streets, okay, I didn't understand that I didn't appreciate life and the true meaning of life. But during that time, I felt like I appreciated life because the only thing I wanted to do in life, I was able to do. I was just risking my life doing it. So when you were in your addiction stages, you didn't appreciate life?
No. I'll tell you, and it's suffering, it really compounds. It's like a snowball that starts rolling down a hill because you have an initial, I'd like to think that we're not inherently born. We have joy. When you're a child, you have these dreams. You could do whatever you want to do,
Yes, sir.
Something comes along the path, and this pain or trauma takes away your innocence. And then it also takes away your whole perspective of, this is a big loving world. No, it's not. It's filled with pain. It's filled with disappointment. I
agree.
It's filled with, you're going to have expectations, and then that whole thing is going to be flipped. They'll flip the script on you. So, my suffering, undealt with, and you can't run away from it. You can't numb it. You can take as many drugs. You can drink as much as much alcohol as there is in the world. But until you grab that, pull it out, accept it, and deal with it, and say, and find out the inherent. There's a lesson there. All pain has a lesson tied to it.
Yes, sir. Hey, do me a favor again. Read that quote to me one more time.
To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering.
Okay. So, what do you say about when something happens and a person is, because suffering, it can come in many different forms. But when something happens, it's like it happened right there. And you have choices that you have to make. It don't mean you have to make the choices right then and there for whatever is causing you to suffer. But it means this just happened. Decisions don't have to be made then and there. But you cannot allow what has happened to affect the rest of your day. And sometimes days.
Or life, man. Sometimes people never get this healing. They carry it with them like a tumor. and it not only weighs them down, but it when we're at full capacity, we're filled with love for ourselves.
Right.
And then our cup spills over, and then we do what me and you are doing right now.
Yes, sir.
Because our cups are spilling over. We're both. Well, there's no way. Even our. We're going to have bad days still today, but even our worst days today aren't where you were like 10 years ago, aren't where I was 4 years ago when I was almost dead. So there's not really a bad day anymore.
Right, it's
and
not.
that's how I got to look at it.
But even in a bad day, when you are stepping outside that moment that caused that bad day cannot exist.
Right. There's a quote from Buddha that said, suffering is not holding you. You are holding your suffering. And I always thought that was that's exactly what it is.
That is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do it. But when I look back at it, like, that is where my anger came from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing because, don't get me wrong, it's times of things that make me laugh, but it's not worth that feeling that I used to feel, because one day I know my anger could. And successful people don't want to deal with people like that.
No.
So I had to change, but I still have things that I go through, but I understand that it happened. It's like getting a whooping. When that whooping is over, you got to keep moving.
Yeah, the pain is inevitable in this life. We're going to experience pain. But suffering is really optional, because suffering is something that we do. There's a painful event, but then after that painful event, it lasts minutes, seconds, maybe it's maybe a day, but you get through that, and then every day thereafter, we create the suffering. We do that. How we react to that pain is what drives and fuels us. So I can honestly say that constant cycle of reliving that pain that I experienced as a child, and then continuing that pain because I could never, with the inability to love myself, I couldn't love my kids the way I wanted to. I knew that I wanted to love my kids, my boys mean everything to me. They're my best friends.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't have asked for better kids. But when they were growing up, I had an emptiness. I had that tumor. I had that pain, and it was blocking me from being full. And I was half of what I should have been. So that compounded on the other stuff. So then there was more, another cycle of now I'm a bad father, and now I'm a bad husband, and now I'm a bad son, and now I'm a drug addict, piece of crap. I'm never going to amount to anything. So you let that thing snowball, and another bad reaction. Your life is no longer. It's just a nightmare. That ain't life.
And and that's crazy because, man, I can't regret anything that I've done in life, because hey, I knew what I was doing, and my feelings were the opposite, because I watched my mom, by the time she was 21, have to look over two of her siblings, because my grandparents both had passed, and then had me, and she always worked 2 and 3 jobs, and then my dad worked and then was in the military. So it was like, whatever in me made me feel like, no, I gotta get my own money. And the older I got, it was like I gotta make it easier, not just on my mom, but on my family, who I see I can make it easy on in any type of way. And that made me feel good, to where the things that I was doing, I knew they weren't right, but I was able to do and be the person that I said that I was gonna be for those. And it just, God set me down.
Yeah.
But I don't regret anything I've done. Like, I can't regret it.
I think forgiveness is part of healing. And I have a laundry list of stuff that, used to make me cringe. Like, man, I can't believe I did that. That's crazy.
I can't believe I done did some things.
And I'm like, man, I remember vividly, like, telling my ex-wife I was going out for milk, and I knew I was going to be partying all weekend and stuff, and I'd leave to go get milk on Friday, and I'd come back on Sunday, and that stuff used to make me cringe, man. Like, dang, I could. But here's what the cool thing is that you do have to find meaning in all that, because the root of suffering is attachment. Attaching yourself to those bad feelings and saying that, okay, I've made a mistake, but you don't have to say, okay, because I've made a mistake or because I fell into this, this cesspool, that I'm always going to stink. I'm always going to be bad. I'm never going to amount to anything. You have to accept and I think forgive yourself for your past. I mean, because I know that what I hold and my values and what I believe now, I'm a totally different person than I was 4 years ago, man. I mean, I'm not even the same person. I wouldn't even be sitting here,
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's understandable, but that's called change. It's like, our topic tonight, suffering. Like, some of us as people, this is one of my sayings. Only a fool doesn't change. So if you know that when certain things irritate you or certain things ain't right, and you react the same, that brings your mental and your energy to a different level, like that was once me. Like, then know, like, if you know that's not a good feeling and that reaction and times with you in your life is the same, you have to change.
If you have the ability to, and that takes a mindset, and your mind, all of our own, the worst enemy any of us will ever face, man or woman, is ourselves.
Sorry.
Our mind unchecked. That's the craziest monster that you'll ever, and you'll lose if you let that thing just go unchecked. Here's another one that I really like, especially today at work. Something was said, and when this was said, I was directly asked a question, and I said, look, somebody's not here right now. There's no reason to talk about that. But there was something said that you had a reaction to.
Yes, sir.
And what was the first thing I said? That ain't you. That ain't you. And I started thinking, I found this, thinking of that incident today, and we don't really have to go much deeper into that. Right. But this, you will continue to suffer if you have an emotional reaction to everything that is said to you. True power is sitting back and observing everything with logic. True power is restraint. If words control you, that means everyone else can control you. Breathe and allow things to pass.
Period.
That's it.
Nothing should be able to control you.
That's it.
But doesn't mean you're like, it's okay to have a reaction.
But don't let that reaction
can't control you.
No, you gotta
it can't control you. But that is I mean, that's a powerful statement, because that's one of the most hardest things. But when you know that you control your decisions and the things you do, it's one of the easiest things. But look, in life, any and everything you do, there's nothing that you can look at life and say, hey, I did this yesterday, I did this last time this year. I've been like, you are put on this earth to live a better life, the life that you're willing to take control of and go after. And you can't and you never will be able to go after what we all are blessed with, which is a vision and dreams, if you allow suffering to take control of any aspect of your life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, especially coming from in my childhood, just there was definitely there was a lot of trauma that changed me. But now, and looking back, not only for years I raged against that, and I became that suffering. If somebody hurt me, nobody was ever going to hurt me again. I was going to hurt them.
Period.
And I got, I got 13 misdemeanors.
Yeah,
I mean, I wanted to spread that pain. But now I realized that all that pain I had to experience, because it makes me the most loving, positive person now, because I know how hurt I was, and I know how much I hated life then. And I'm so far on the opposite end of the spectrum that I not only appreciate this, but I freaking cling to it, man.
Right.
I don't want to let that go. And with that, you just inherently become a better person. Success follows you, because when you're vibing and when you're putting out positivity and love each day, that stuff keeps coming back, and it's just a constant cycle. Just like your pain was a cycle, the healing and the love and the positivity is a cycle as well.
And that's what I was telling everybody at the dealership before you came. I said, man, my brother who coming. I said, if y'all think that my energy and my motivation is something, I said, man, you all gonna love him. Because, man, it's not, I haven't, here working in Cincinnati, I haven't met many people that wake up like me, no matter what done happened, what's going on, I'm joyful, I'm happy, I'm at peace.
Yeah.
That's an amazing feeling. No matter how much access to money and whatever I ever had in the streets, I never had that feeling.
Yeah. Even when I've had success in this business at other places, but I was very unhappy, and I never had anything to really show for it, because, it was all just throwing that money away on drugs and alcohol. So now, like I said, everything starts coming together, and then it's just like you can't help but, when you're doing the right things, everything fall into place.
Period. Point.
It's like an immovable object. You will be successful if you love yourself and you continue to want to better yourself each day. And that's like working out. You just got to work your mind out, because if you turn your phone on, or if you watch the TV, or if you listen to the opinions of others, there's always a negative thing that you could fall into. There's a negative belief that you can just get sucked into. That's why each day I start my day with a quote, and I send that over to you. There's about 50 people I send it to, and I put it on Facebook. But I truly believe that energy that we start each day with,
period,
is huge and fueling us, and that's we get to determine the day we're gonna have.
Period. So it's listen, man, and I always have to put it in daily in life, life terms to be understood. Listen, we don't have to, because we both very religious brothers, and I'm gonna leave it at that. We see life and joy and love in the same way, but we are very religious brothers. We come from different but the same,
right,
point of view. But it's we don't have to worry about where we lay our head, any of our bills, responsibilities being taken care of, and we only have to do what we do every day. Hustle hard like we do, and spread the love and joy, and push everyone around us to just do and be and feel great. I don't know, having worked with many brothers, man, that this ain't something you see in every workplace.
No, it's not. I mean, I'll tell you, I think so many people are tapped in to social networks and news outlets and stuff, and there's never anything positive on there. You really have to disconnect and look within, especially if you're trying to keep an optimistic and positive attitude. Because if you just turn on any news channel, I mean, you'll be down pretty quick because they don't have anything positive on it. Going back to as far as religion goes, I'll tell you, I got sober, and for years I was, I would have considered myself part of a religion, a Christian. And then I had a flip, and I started reading Buddha and some of the Eastern philosophies, and they clicked with me. But the main common denominator that I think between any and all religions is love.
Period.
So my religion is love, and it always will be.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I'm true to that. But whatever gives you faith, whatever makes you feel whole, cling to that. And because we're all unique, and that's the thing. There is one ultimate way to end your suffering, and it's love. Love is the key, and it starts by acknowledging that you're worthy of a better life. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of not having to spend one more day reliving something that you've already lived through.
Say that one more time.
Yeah,
No, seriously, say that
I
one more
mean,
time.
The key to healing suffering is love, and it always will be. And you can't spend another day living with something that you and manifesting that pain and that sorrow over and over again on something that you've already made it through, on something that you've already lived through. And I mean, and that's the man, if just one person heard that, and we could help one person, this whole thing is worth it. But coming from that spot, and I know people will say it's not that easy, and it wasn't easy. It took me 20 years to get here, 20 years of suffering and pain.
Yes.
And losing a marriage and losing the respect of my kids. But you know what? Once I loved me, all that came back. And one of the coolest things is that sometimes things just have to happen. Like, my ex-wife got remarried and has this beautiful little girl. And had I not been a drug addict, that little girl would have never been around. So I think there's just there's something bigger, and things happen the way they're going to happen. They happen for a reason.
You always had two choices in life. You either take this right decision, or you take this left decision.
Right.
But it's still a choice from free will that we all have. And if you're taking this left decision, it's consequences to it. Whether we choose to accept it or not, it's consequences to it. And of some things that you had just said, brother, it was like, growing up, in the church, and my family still attends this church. It's Rockdale Baptist. They call it Rock Life now. And I always used to hear, and this when I was a kid, it was, be more like Jesus. And then when I was working with this brother named Timothy McClure, he said, man, sometimes you just got to be more like Jesus. And he seen the look on my face. He said, you know what that means? And in my head, I'm thinking something different. Like, man, look, bro, ain't nothing perfect about me, but I work, hustle hard to try to make a little more less of stress for me and mine. Like, that's but he said, man, it don't mean you got to be perfect. Just mean just try to be more right. Try to be more better. And I finally understood. Like, if you just try to be better for you, try to be better to others, try to be better for your life, like that's a part of change. Mm-hmm. That's what brings on change. So I gotta read our post today, and it's a quote from Bob Marley. Bob Marley said, "The people who are trying to make this world worse don't take a day off. So how can I? The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." Like, bro, I'm going to stop right there for a minute. because you know me, like, if the energy ain't right and I can't get the energy right, I get away from it because energy is everything, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why, we are blessed to be at this dealership we at. And the dealership is blessed to have us as well, man, because we don't want to do nothing but spread and share love, man.
That's it.
Bring about good energy, man, and watch people just find the beauty and joy in life.
Yeah, I mean, I've a lot of the stuff I say is stuff I've read, and in the last 4 years, I've been on this whole path of enlightenment and awakening and self-love. But most definitely, we have to be the change that we want to see in the world around us.
Yes.
I don't want to live and think of my life as it was when I was a drug addict. I don't want to live and think of my life as it was when I was an alcoholic, or not being there for my kids, or just being in depression and despair. That's not how I want to think of my life. I constantly think about, we have these problems, we have this suffering, we have this pain, and we really have, each of us has three options. We can either accept it, we can change it, or we can leave it. And if you can't accept something, then you have to change it. And if you can't change something, then you have to leave it. And that includes people, loved ones even. Just because you're family doesn't mean you have to stop loving somebody, but it also doesn't mean that they have to have a seat at your table. And sometimes the people that hurt us the most are those that are supposed to love us and be the closest to us. And I think you can have a toxic family dynamic that you just have to get away from, and that's just the truth of life.
Period.
And a lot of us, and I would say over 50% of us that suffer, our families have something to do with that in some way or another.
Yeah, a lot, but to not be around and deal with doesn't mean I don't love you. It means I love me enough to not put myself anywhere that can alter my energy and just the beauty and joy that I choose to see. It don't mean I don't see out of bed, but I choose, like, none of that means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Like, my vision is here. Like, I feel bad for a lot of things, but feeling bad for those things can alter my path and interrupt my dream that I'm chasing. Like, I can't allow that. And I'm William Hustle Lyles.
It's Big Pat.
And we want to thank you all for listening to Hustle and Heart Presents. Get it out. For more, man, we're going to be coming here going live soon. But go check us out on WilliamLyles.Today on YouTube. And subscribe and follow us, man. And, start leaving us messages and, leave us some topics and let us share some of our experiences and the things that we learn and going through in life, and see if it can help just how many people, Big Pat?
I mean, the whole thing is if we can just help one, this whole thing's worth it. And you're out there right now, and you're going to hear this message, and then you're going to spread the same thing. And that's what all this is about. You got to get it out. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of happiness. You're worthy of success. And it all starts with you.
Period, point blank. One.